Your feet sink into wet clay. The river has flooded again, the third time this season, and it has carried away the marker stones between your barley field and your neighbors. 3 people are already waiting outside your door when you get back. None of them are smiling. They all want something different. You have one idea. Nobody believes it yet. Not even you. Not this early in the morning. The day you changed humanity forever. You keep the temple's grain. Nobody asked if you wanted the job. Your mother kept it before you and hers before her. Everyone brings their surplus here. Everyone comes here when they need to take some back out. Without anyone ever calling it that, you're the only reason half this village can trade with the other half. This morning, the storehouse is crowded before you've eaten anything. Enkir. The flood took my lower field. I need cloth before the cold comes. Nintu has cloth. Nintu, a weaver, doesn't look up from her loom frame. Nintu, I don't need sheep, I need grain. My children can't eat wool. Before you can answer either of them, Shesh shoulders through, dragging a fishing net torn clean in half. Shesh, my skiff has a hole the size of my fist. I need rope, I have fish. Someone behind him mutters that nobody wants his fish, not since the flood turned the shallows foul. Shesh doesn't argue, he already knows. Then the shouting starts at the far wall. Amar-Sin, a potter, and Diri, a farmer, close enough to shove each other. Amar-Sin. 4 seasons ago, you swore me 2 more handfuls of barley than you gave me. Diri. I gave you what we agreed. You remember it bigger every year because your memory serves your anger, not the truth. You stand in the middle of all 3 arguments at once, storehouse doors open behind you, and for the first time in your life, the arithmetic in your head does not close. There isn't enough grain left to solve even one of these fairly. There's no way to prove what Diri owed Amar-Sin 4 years ago. There's no version of today that ends with all 3 problems solved by moving goods from one person's hands into another's. You send all 3 away with half answers. Lugal-ashir, the elder who keeps the temple's accounts, finds you after, arms folded, not unkind, just tired. Lugal-ashir. You gave the shepherd nothing. You don't answer. There's nothing true to say that isn't also useless. Lugal-ashir. That's not enough anymore. It hasn't been enough for 2 seasons. Alone now, you sit among what's left of the grain. Beside it, a small clay bowl of silver scraps and rings. Offerings from families who had nothing else to give the temple this year. Nobody spends silver. You wear it, melt it, or it sits in a bowl doing nothing. You pick up one ring, you set it on the balance scale you use to measure grain rations, and out of habit more than purpose, you add barley to the other side until the arms level. They balance at an amount you recognize. You've weighed a ring against roughly this much barley by pure accident 3 times this year, without ever noticing, because scraps of silver in this village tend to run close to the same size. You go very still. If a fixed weight of silver is worth roughly the same weight of grain, to anyone, not just to you, then it stops mattering what Enkir has, or what Nintu needs today, or what Shesh can't sell until the water clears. It only matters what the silver weighs. Enkir could take silver instead of sheep. Nintu could take that same silver and buy grain from someone 3 streets over who has extra. Nobody has to want the same thing from the same person on the same day ever again. Lugal-ashir finds you sitting with a scale full of metal instead of grain. Lugal-ashir, silver doesn't feed anyone. You can't eat a ring. You can trade it for what feeds you, any of it, whenever you need to. Lugal-ashir, nobody will believe a piece of metal is worth a season's grain just because you say so. I'm not asking them to believe me, I'm asking them to believe a scale. He walks away unconvinced. You sit with the doubt on your own face a moment longer than you'd like. By inventing money. Diri and Amar-Sin are back, louder this time, a small crowd gathering the way crowds do. Lugal-ashir, cornered by both men, tells you to end it before dark. Or he will, and you won't like how. You step in, not with an answer. With a question. Diri. How much do you believe you owe? Diri. Nothing, I paid it. You. Amar-Sin. How much do you believe you're owed? Amar-Sin. 2 handfuls of barley weighed 4 years ago that I never got. You bring out the scale. You take silver from the temple bowl, a small, exact amount, and weigh it against the grain equivalent Amar-Sin is claiming. Not memory, not anger. A number, sitting on a scale, that both men can see with their own eyes. You. This is the weight of what he says you owe. If you believe he's wrong, argue with the scale, not with him. Diri stares at it a long moment. It isn't proof of the old debt, nothing can prove that now, but it's the first time in 4 years the argument has had a shape smaller than both men's pride. He pays it, not because he's certain he owes it, because arguing with a weight of metal in front of the whole street feels foolish in a way that arguing with a man never did. Amar-Sin takes the silver. He doesn't cheer, he just stops shouting. That's new too. Enkir trades his sheep to a family 2 villages over who actually need them. For silver, not cloth. He brings that silver to Nintu. Nintu finally has grain for her children. Nobody had to want the same thing on the same day. Shesh sells silver-priced future fish to a trader passing through who won't be back for a month. By then, the shallows will have cleared. He buys his rope today anyway. You start pressing marks into wet clay tablets. 1 line per ring of silver owed, 1 name beside it. Because for the first time, there's something worth writing down that isn't just how much grain sits in the storehouse. It's who owes what to whom. Historians, thousands of years from now, will spend entire careers arguing about which came first, the money or the writing that kept track of it. You never wonder, you're only trying to remember who paid you back. Centuries later, a king named Hammurabi writes your silver weight into law, so the whole of Mesopotamia measures debt the same way. Centuries after that, in a kingdom called Lydia, a metalworker stamps a lion's head into a disk of metal, so nobody has to weigh it by hand ever again. Centuries after that, Rome stamps an emperor's face onto the same idea. 1,000 years later, Venice writes it onto paper instead of metal, and calls it a promise instead of a coin. Today, someone taps a phone against a machine in a coffee shop 9,000 miles from where you're standing, and doesn't wait for the scale to balance. It already has. It has for 5,000 years. The flood is finally receding. The silver ring is still sitting in your palm. You didn't build a temple. You didn't win a war. You never carved your name into anything. Somewhere between a flooded field and 3 people who were never going to agree on anything, you found the one idea that outlived every empire that came after you. Nobody believed it. Everyone uses it.